Too many people work hard their entire lives and still end up broke. And it's not because the universe is unfair or the rich are hoarding gold bars in a bunker. The truth is simpler and less flattering. Most people make the same predictable career mistakes over and over again. If you want to stop being poor while working like a mule, you must stop doing what keeps most people believe the answer to escaping financial struggle is simply to work harder, put in more hours, grind longer than everyone else, and hope one day the universe notices their effort. That's a comforting story, but it's also one of the most expensive misunderstandings in a person's life. If every dollar you earn requires your physical presence or constant effort, you've unknowingly built a cage around your income. The moment you stop moving, the money stops flowing. You get sick, take a break, lose a job, or need time to think, your paycheck evaporates. That isn't security. That is dependency dressed up as work ethic. The world has countless people who work themselves to the bone and remain stuck because they never question the model they've accepted as normal. They're sprinting on a treadmill, sweating, determined, but never moving forward. A smarter approach begins by understanding that value outweighs time. The market does not pay for exhaustion. It pays for results, innovation, and solutions that matter. A person who spends 10 years mastering a rare skill, learning how systems work, or becoming indispensable will ultimately be rewarded far more than someone who just shows up and punches the clock. The person who leverages their mind earns exponentially more than the person who only leverages their muscles. This is why some individuals can earn in 1 hour what others earn in a month, because the foundation beneath their work is different. They built leverage skills, reputation, ownership, and knowledge that multiplies their effort. The real test is not how long you can work, but how intelligently you can apply your effort. Ask yourself difficult but necessary questions. What skills could elevate my value? What can I learn that solves problems others avoid? How can I produce something once and benefit from it repeatedly? This could be writing, building a useful product, creating tools, mastering technology, negotiating better deals, or becoming excellent at a profession rather than merely competent. Small improvements compound, and before you realize it, you've crossed from being paid for your hours to being paid for your capabilities. You don't escape scarcity by sprinting faster. You escape by switching tracks entirely. Your job may pay the bills today, but your skills, judgment, and ideas determine whether tomorrow looks different. The sooner you stop trading time like a commodity and start investing in leverage, the sooner you disconnect your income from your exhaustion. That is the turning point where wealth begins to chase you instead of the other way around. There is a dangerous belief many hardworking people cling to, that staying loyal to one company, one boss, or one role will eventually lead to recognition, raises, and a comfortable future. In reality, blind loyalty often traps you in a shrinking room while you convince yourself it's expanding. The market does not reward people for time served. It rewards people for growth, contribution, and adaptability. Yet millions cling to jobs that stopped serving them years ago, hoping patience will transform into prosperity. That is not strategy. That's wishful thinking. If you're not learning more, earning more, or becoming more, you're slowly rusting in place. Every month you stay stuck is a month you fall behind someone who decided to bet on themselves. The world keeps changing, but too many employees stay exactly the same. They convince themselves they're lucky just to have a job, and in doing so, they forget the job should benefit them too. A workplace that does not stretch your talent, challenge your thinking, push you towards stronger opportunities becomes a comfort trap. Comfort feels safe in the moment, but it quietly erodes your ambition and dulls your competitive edge. A decade passes, and suddenly you realize your skills are outdated, your salary barely keeps up with inflation, and the company that once promised to take care of you barely remembers your name. The tragedy isn't what happened to you, it's what you tolerated. Smart people treat employment like a two-way value exchange. You show up, deliver results, and gain skills that make you more capable tomorrow than you were today. If that stops happening, the relationship has expired. The highest earners, the self-made winners, the people who rise into leadership and ownership, they don't cling to small opportunities. They outgrow them. They move toward environments where they can contribute at a higher level, where their talent is recognized, and where growth is built into the culture, not just promised in performance reviews no one honors. Leaving a stagnant job isn't disloyalty. It's responsibility to your future self. You don't owe eternity to a company that would replace you in a week if budgets tighten. You owe it to yourself to seek places where your skills develop, your value grows, and your effort translates into upward mobility, not just survival. The career game is won by those who refuse to shrink to fit their circumstances and instead seek circumstances big enough to match their potential. If the room you're in has no space left for you to expand, it's time to walk out and find one that does. Most people graduate from school and make the worst possible assumption that their education is finished. They treat learning like a chapter they've checked off rather than a lifelong responsibility. Meanwhile, the world evolves at a pace that leaves the complacent behind. Technology shifts, industries transform, entire career paths disappear. Yet many workers cling to the same outdated knowledge they started with and then complain when the market stops rewarding them. If learning ends the day you get your diploma, stagnation begins the very same moment. Standing still in a moving world is the slowest path to irrelevance. The most successful people don't rely on old information. They keep sharpening the tools the world pays most for: problem solving, communication, technology, leadership, finance, and strategic thinking. They read books others find boring, ask questions others are too proud to ask, and study subjects that expand their worldview rather than confirm what they already know. Continuous learning is a compounding asset. The first book you read may not transform your life, but the 50th, and 100th, create a depth of thinking that separates you from the masses. Knowledge stacks quietly until it becomes unmistakable power. There's also a financial truth. The marketplace pays a premium for those who understand what others ignore. A single new skill, coding, sales, negotiation, data analysis, design thinking, public speaking, can multiply your income far beyond what longer hours ever will. The person who updates their skills every year becomes more expensive to ignore and more valuable to hire, promote, or partner with. While others chase job security through seniority, lifelong learners build security through adaptability. They move confidently when industries change because they anticipated the shift and prepared while others were asleep at the wheel. Learning isn't always comfortable, but comfort is the enemy of growth. It requires humility to admit you don't know enough, discipline to study after work when you're tired, and courage to challenge your own assumptions. Yet the reward is enormous, a career that expands instead of contracts, opportunities that chase you instead of ending, and a future far bigger than the one you started with. Every page you read, every course you take, every skill you sharpen makes you a little harder to replace and a lot harder to ignore. In a world that never stops changing, the only people who stay poor in knowledge are the ones who choose to. Most people pretend they want a better life, a higher salary, promotions, or financial independence, yet they avoid the very discomfort required to achieve any of it. They treat discomfort like danger instead of recognizing it as the doorway to growth. The truth is brutally simple. Every meaningful step forward in a career demands stepping into situations that feel unfamiliar, uncertain, or slightly terrifying. You cannot build confidence without first facing doubt, and you cannot stretch your capabilities without risking mistakes. The people who win in life are not the ones who coast smoothly. They are the ones willing to sweat, struggle, and embrace the awkward early stages most others refuse to face. Avoiding discomfort is how dreams die quietly. You tell yourself you'll speak up in the meeting next time. Ask for a raise when it feels right. Apply for that job when you're ready, or learn a new skill once life slows down. Days turn into months, months into years, and your situation never changes. Comfort seduces you into staying exactly where you are. Meanwhile, the courageous person takes imperfect action, stumbles a little, learns faster, and ends up miles ahead. Growth has a price. Confidence is earned through small embarrassments, new challenges, and moments where you feel unprepared but show up anyway. Pressure, uncertainty, and responsibility are not threats. They are teachers. Taking on a project that scares you forces you to improve. Presenting your ideas in a meeting sharpens your communication. Leading a team, even if you feel unready, skills nothing in a textbook can teach. Every discomfort you accept voluntarily strengthens your capability. Every discomfort you avoid strengthens your excuses. The irony is that what looks risky in the short term is often the safest move long term. Playing it safe means settling for a predictable trajectory, limited growth, mediocre pay, and a plateau you cannot escape. Taking bold steps opens doors you never knew existed. The world rewards those who can walk into uncertainty with discipline and persistence. Not because they are smarter or luckier, but because they are willing to do what most people won't. The first attempt may be clumsy, the second slightly better, and by the 10th you look like a natural. Skill catches up to courage. Your comfort zone may protect your ego, but it also limits your earning power, your opportunities, and your potential. If you want a life worth celebrating, you must be willing to feel uncomfortable more often than you feel certain. That is where careers are built, wealth is created, and character is forged. Most people sabotage their financial futures not at the bank or the stock market, but at the checkout counter. They earn money with effort, then spend it with impulse, and are puzzled when nothing accumulates. A higher salary doesn't solve poor habits. Without discipline, income rises and lifestyle rises faster. The first responsibility of any career-minded individual who wants wealth is to respect the money they already earn. If every raise disappears into restaurants, gadgets, vacations, and image maintenance, you're running in place while believing you're advancing. Wealth begins the moment you decide to keep more than you spend, and that decision is far rarer than it should be. There's a quiet danger in chasing status through consumption. Too many people try to look successful before they actually are. They lease cars they can't afford, buy clothes to impress strangers, and move into homes that stretch them financially thin. For a few moments they feel prosperous, but the monthly payments slowly choke out their freedom. Every unnecessary expense is another chain around your future choices. The people who win financially understand that ego purchases are the enemy of independence. They take pride not in showing wealth, but in building it. They let their money grow quietly while others burn theirs loudly. Real financial power comes from creating a gap between what you earn and what you spend, then protecting that gap with discipline. You don't need extreme deprivation. You need intentional choices. Invest in books, courses, tools, relationships, and experiences that make you more valuable in the marketplace. Spend less on temporary entertainment and more on permanent capability. Money used wisely multiplies. Money wasted disappears here forever. The market will always reward those who treat their dollars like employees to be deployed, not like confetti to be thrown into the air. You also need patience, because wealth is built centimeter by centimeter in fireworks and jackpots. People with poor discipline demand instant gratification, and in doing so, sell their future for comfort today. People with strong discipline delay the unnecessary so they can afford the extraordinary later. When you manage your money with judgment and purpose, opportunities appear that are invisible to spenders. Investments become possible, career risks feel safer, and freedom expands. The goal is not to hoard money, but to own your time, make confident choices, and build a life where your finances support your dreams instead of crushing them. Smart money habits inside your career become the engine that pushes you forward long after the excitement of earning a paycheck wears off. Discipline turns income into wealth. Without it, even the highest salary slips through your fingers like sand. Success may look like a solo pursuit from the outside, but anyone who has climbed high enough knows the uncomfortable truth. You cannot reach the top alone. Opportunities flow through people, trust, and reputation far more than through resumes and raw effort. Yet many hardworking individuals isolate themselves, thinking that grinding quietly in the corner is enough to be noticed. The world does not work that way. If nobody knows who you are, what you do, or what value you bring, your potential remains hidden in a locked room no one walks into. Your network isn't a luxury, it's a force multiplier that can accelerate your career faster than skill alone. The fastest career growth often comes from a single relationship. Someone recommending your name in a meeting you didn't attend, introducing you to an opportunity you didn't know existed, or mentoring you through a decision you might have mishandled on your own. Most people underestimate how many doors are invisible until another person points them out. Building strong relationships is not about handing out business cards or pretending to be charming. It's about showing up generously, being reliable, helping others without immediately calculating a return, and earning the reputation of someone people enjoy working with. In a world full of average performers, character becomes competitive advantage. Every job, project, or collaboration is a chance to prove who you are. Be the person who meets deadlines, solves problems, communicates clearly, and follows through. These traits turn acquaintances into allies. And allies are powerful currency. They introduce you, vouch for you, think of you when they hear of openings, and pull you upward when momentum is forming. Meanwhile, those who hide behind a keyboard, refuse teamwork, or stay disengaged often watch less skilled candidates leap ahead simply because others like working with them. Competence matters, but connection turns competence into opportunity. Building a network is not reserved for extroverts. It's a discipline anyone can learn. Ask thoughtful questions, attend industry events, join communities, share what you know, and stay curious about what others do. Be the person who remembers a name, sends a helpful message, or checks in without needing something. When you invest in people early, the return arrives later in surprising and meaningful ways. Reputation compounds just like money, slow at first, then faster than you'd imagined. When your name carries weight, work begins to find you instead of you hunting desperately for it. In careers, as in life, the strongest results come from collaboration, shared momentum, and being part of something larger than yourself. A powerful network doesn't make your success effortless, but it makes it possible, scalable, and far more rewarding. You poor. Hard work matters, but intelligent work matters far more.